Managers, I might just be done with Limbus Company after the end of Canto 8. Oddly, it's not for anything that surrendering witness has done wrong, but for something much deeper, something personal. The character at the end of all of this is a witness. His whole role is to watch. Also, I don't enjoy how a game like Limbus Company would have the audacity to call me out like this. So I'm going to break down what the Kanto did right, what it did wrong, and for those of you who would like to guess, put what you think is stopping me in the comments below. By the end, you might be proven right. So let's start with what they got right. Canto 8 brought us 20 new characters. Not counting returning faces or the cameos, no other Kanto comes close, and it makes sense when an entire family is fighting for the top spot. Everyone has a role to play. All the way down to Jiren, the humble maidservant of Hung Lu, who learned too much and had to be re-educated through brutal means. They are here to show us just how controlled this section of the city is. How even a loyal servant will be punished to protect the secrets of the hierarch and to keep an iron grip that hides underneath all that tradition of the world his family controls. Jia Baiyu is called the gem of the family. The messed up part is he was never truly meant to be a part of it. From birth, the elders shaped his path, his peers, watching him receive treatment they couldn't understand. And those same peers grew to resent him. What none of them realized is that all of the resentment wasn't organic. It was engineered by the same hands working from the shadow for the growth of District 8. And more importantly, Danganyan. And then there are the childhood friends, Jupan, Lin Daiyu, Jia Jichun, Jia Q, and Jia Hun. People who grew up in the same orbit as Baoyu, who knew him before any of this, before the roles were truly assigned to everyone other than him. This matters because what this Kanto does to those relationships is the cruelest thing it could have done. In Danganyan, childhood doesn't protect you from the machine. If anything, it just means life has more to slap you down so that you may learn your lesson. Jupan was one of Hung Lu's closest friends, a genuine friend in a city where those are hard to find. But when Pan faced execution, Hung Lu's role as the witness demanded he do nothing but watch. And that was it. Something in Pan broke permanently that day. Not all at once either, but slowly and completely. He became the disruptor. The one who would later thin the herd of those bold enough to try their luck in the hierarchy exams. Lin Daiyu, once a member of Baiyu's Jia family, was sent to the Lin family and lost hope for Baiyu. Grew resentful. As children, she wanted nothing more than to collect flower petals and to fly kites with Baiyu. Honestly, guys, I believe there was a bit of an unkindled flame between the two of these characters. Call it me shipping them or headcanon, but I saw it there. However, after Hung Lu left his home to join Limbus Company, not only did the resentment grow, but Daiyu lost her status as a member of the Jia family to protect. Protect who? Jia Hoon, the one while journeying about looking for his form of immortality, found the League of Nine Literatures instead. Whether it was his own volition or if the League was what changed his mind, it doesn't matter. But he quickly shrugged off his responsibilities to the Jiren and walks down his own path now. The problem is, well, that path is a constant thorn in the side of our sinners. And every scene this man is, you can feel the constant resentment he has for our Hung Lu. In the end, Hyun decided to break from tradition, and instead of embracing the system, he is just fine sitting around and watching the whole thing burn down around him. Jia Kui is the adopted brother who just left. He walked out and started building something of his own, a city run by humanity, on humanity's terms. That's either the most idealistic thing in this whole Kanto, or the most naive. And oddly, while asking Hung Lu what he thinks Danganyan needs, he writes his answer off as naive. But in a sense, so is his own goals in a way. However, the system didn't absorb him. He didn't need it to break him either. He just decided he wasn't playing. He abstained from his roles. I'm starting to notice that most of this generation of the Jia family have a bit of a rebellious streak to them. even the ones who were taken in from the doomed households. Moving on, Ji-chun is the one Baoyu tried to give his own birthday to, as a kid, just so she'd have something better than what she was handed. She grew to resent Honglu, and while I don't truly agree with her reasoning, it was hers. Honglu had grown distant in her eyes and had chosen to leave, even if it was to play his part in the family. However, out of every single person in this canto, she's the one who trusted him the most when it counted. Not in a blind trust way. She had seen how Honglu was now, and what he had done for her. Meanwhile, she'd been working the hierarchy exams, chasing that immortality play that the city wants. She just decided to want something different, and somehow, Honglu helped her see what that was. She's stubborn, blunt, and somehow has a solid heart. And despite all that, or because of it, she ends up having one of the cleanest arcs in the whole canto. She starts out devoted to the hierarch like so many in Dongyungan, but in the end, she got out clean. Unlike so many, unlike even the one Lin Dayu was protecting, Baoyu's prospective wife was chosen for the role. Zhu Baochai seems to enthusiastically embrace it, and that's exactly the point, because as we've seen across this entire family, the roles handed to them aren't honors. They're secret nooses laid around the necks of those who follow them blindly. Like I stated earlier, there are so many characters that are introduced in this canto, and I'll get to some of the other ones you're still waiting for soon. Others are cool, but I won't be bringing them up. But so you don't think I forgot about them, here are the ones I will not bring up verbally. Each of the people in this canto did one thing well though, and it was play their part. Roles are an important part of this canto, but remember, this canto might be my swan song to the game. Like the members of the family, I had been playing one role for a long time in this community. But similarities to several of the characters in here have made me realize that this is not the role I want for myself. Like GQ, I too would like to spread out and make my own way, to gather a few close allies and spread my way. But he is not the one who hit the hardest. You guys can affect the outcome though by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and tell me in the comments section if you agree with my take on the players all having their role in this story. Managers, Project Moon tells an amazing story. The Sundering Witness was no different. Everyone here plays their roles, but the way it's shown comes in very subtle pushes one moment and very intense scenes the next. Everything in Dongyungan has a almost oppressive atmosphere. In every shadow, there could be a Heishu to enforce the will of their respective masters. And at the center of it all is just the witness, Honglu. The Jiren don't experience the world themselves. They're immortal, and with such a long life comes boredom. So they send someone to see the world for them, so that they may feel something in their internal stagnation. The Heishu is where the true power in Dongyungan lies, and they belong to the families. The most powerful houses in Dongyungan are given control of some, and the more powerful you are, the more you get. Living weapons, and the hierarch holds the leash on them all. The purpose of the exams is to find out who gets the leash next. Whoever survives gets the city. Honglu, he is not supposed to be here. He's the witness. That has always been his whole role, but right now he is forced to join in. Why? Well, Limbus Company has said so. There is another golden bough here and it must be acquired after all. What does the exams entail? Well, stage 1 is to bring a form of immortality. Easy for the sinners who could turn back time on death. Stage 2, well, like a famous movie, it's a battle royale in a tower. The whole time the Jiren gets a show. The sinners and everyone in the tower's pain and suffering feeding their sick entertainment. It don't matter that Honglu is in the middle of it. He is just a more perfect witness now. Everyone continues to play their role, and this is where Zhu Pan comes in full effect. In both sections of the exams, he uses his undead talisman puppets to thin the herd. First by unleashing them on unexpected members of the families during the immortality test, and again by thinning the herd by using them to combat others in the battle royale. The whole time, Jia Ji-chun is barely holding on to any sort of placement in the battle royale. Most of her units are wiped out as she barely holds on to her coins, and we come to the final room. Nothing but silence and three brothers in a room. The sinners take Hung Lu's role from him here as witnessing what is transpiring for a change. A stone tablet on one side as Jia Q turns to Hung Lu, the one everyone thinks is just an aloof fool, and asks the question the tablet asks. What does Danganyeon need to survive? Jia Hun may be there, but his impatience is what guides him. This Sasuke ripoff can't understand why Jia Q would even bother to give Hung Lu the time of day. And even Hung Lu cannot understand why. Several times Hung Lu gives passive answers, but Q knows that his heart is not in them, so of course, like any big brother would, he decides to beat the truth out of Hung Lu. Finally, Q gets a real answer. It's still shallow, but in the end, the answer wasn't what he needed. Q had to create a crack in the armor that Hung Lu has had up since the time he was still only known as Jia Bayu. And this small crack was the start of everything that came after. Then we have Lei Hang. He just shows up and starts talking. That's basically his whole thing. Big braggart energy, always looking for a worthy opponent, like a corrupted version of Goku. And here's the thing, the community loves him. I don't. He looks down on Ryoshu, and that alone puts him on my list. But Ryoshu is scared of him. So whatever I think of his personality, the message is clear. He doesn't really do much in Phase 1, or even in Phase 2. He's just there, waiting outside the temple during Ji-chun's coronation, blocking the door like he's got all the time in the world, surrounded by the bodies of what used to be Ji-chun's bodyguards. We just got done fighting with Jia Q, and while the fight was a scripted loss, we think we have a grasp on his power. Boy, were we wrong. Q then turns around and kills Lei Hang with 5 rings of light, the Mang, and a tap. Just a tap on his head, and it's over. Lei Hang's last words are basically lamenting that with all of his strength, Q was still holding back against Hang, and against us the whole time, and those lines hit differently. Because we fought Q. We were proud of that. And the man we beat had another gear he never showed us, and we only find that out because what he does to Lei Hang. Q got revenge for what Lei Hang did to Zilu, and Q wasn't even trying. That's the point. This isn't the first time Hung Lu watched people die in Danganyeon. Not even the first time he had to see it at this scale. When he was a kid, when he was still Jia Baoyu, the Hong family was holding a public unveiling, New Bolus, a celebration, and he knew something was wrong and tried to warn them. They didn't listen. Bina's birds killed every single one of them. Honestly, managers, Bina being here felt like fan service. But hey, why not? We all deserve a little bit of fan service. And Jia Baoyu stood there and watched it happen. So we made a decision. If caring about people means watching them die anyway, stop caring. Get rid of your emotions, all of them. Well, it didn't work, but he spent a long time pretending it did. And here's the thing about Danganyeon, that the exams almost made you forget. Any section of the city runs not strictly by politics, but by corporate structure. And just like in the real world, when a business shows signs of weakness, other entities choose to strike. Knowing that H Corp is without a head, the sharks smelled the blood in the water and decided now was the time. All wings converging on Danganyeon. For a moment, even though the Golden Bow, which was our sinner's main goal, the sinners threw caution to the wind, abandoning their roles once again to save Ji-chun. With no leader, the Heishu cannot be activated to defend the city, and so by abdicating our role to set Ji-chun and hers, the sinners might just save Danganyeon. After a brutal fight with Lei Hang, we arrive at the temple. Sadly, the hardest part was not what we thought it was going to be. That had already passed us by. Jiren, the people who had been running Danganyeon from the shadows for longer than anyone can remember. The reason Jia Baoyu was sent out as Hung Lu to witness in the first place. Those who found immortality, and I mean, they don't look like human anymore. I'll get into that more later. But the moment you see them, you understand something. The exam was never about finding the best leader. It was about feeding the machine. Because sitting at the center of it all is Jiamu, the ceremony with Jichun at the center of it, about passing the first hierarch on to the next, in the form of the Amano worm, still alive, carrying the memory of every hierarch that came after it like a parasite USB stick. The ritual isn't a coordination so much as it is a transfer. The worm moves on, the new hierarch becomes the vessel, and I'll let you think about what that means for a second. We beat Mu, lock every elder inside the temple, and Jichun walks out as the hierarch. With no worm, she's not a vessel, and she's no longer ran by the machine. Plus, the war is stopped. H-Corp stabilizes, Danganyon survives, and the sister who Hung Lu wanted to be happy takes the seat of power as herself, with a fresh start to the city set out before her. Normally I do a long tech section, but as for the new tech, H-Corp's thing is boluses. They're like K-Corp samples, but on steroids. Healings and buffs galore. And as you guys have come to expect from these videos, there's the horror aspect. So managers, you know, in all these reviews, I do put a horror aspect into it, because for some reason, you guys all ignore the horror in these games. First, we got the Jiren, and they look like they solved the lament configuration and the Xenobites took them. You know what they did to people in Hellraiser. Now imagine that's just what you look like permanently. Whatever they were before, it's gone, replaced by their distorted forms of immortality. And then there's Jiamu. The worm controlling her is basically the Jason creature from Jason Goes to Hell, fused with the Yerks from Animorphs. A parasite that controls the host and wears them like a suit. Jiamu might still be there, but what is calling the shots is the hierarchs that came before. Something is just using her body to stay in power, which makes every scene that she's in retroactively horrifying once you know. And now we come to what they did wrong. I predicted it. Not everything, but the major parts of the story. The worm controlling the family, I called it. The elders being compromised, called it. The final room coming down to Jia-Q, Jia-Huan, and Hong Yu with the sinners caught in the middle, called it. I'm not saying this to flex my big brain having self. That's the problem that I've been noticing since Canto 4. Honestly, it's a problem I've had with a lot of media. I got so good at guessing the suspects in crime dramas that friends refuse to watch them with me anymore. The only twist I didn't see coming was Lei Hang not making it out. Given his aura and the fact that Ryoshu fears him, I had him locked in as a Canto 9 problem. That's the biggest surprise. Project Moon does resolutions that cost something very well, but the more Cantos that stack up, the more visible what is coming, well, becomes. And Canto 8 is the most pronounced version of that so far. It doesn't ruin the game, but when you can see the shape of the ending before you're halfway through, it makes enjoying the end results that much harder. I started out with this video and I want to be honest with you about something. Hung Lu spends Canto 8 doing what he does, watching, keeping the smile up that don't quite go all the way up to his eyes, playing his role so well that even those who know him best only see glimpses of what's behind that gesture. I recognize that immediately. I have a sister. We lost our dad, and more than anything, I want to see her actually happy. Not the performative happy that you were forced to put on so that others don't worry. Actually happy, and I doubt I'll ever see that again. So I do what I do. I keep the joke running, stay useful. I let everything move around me. Hung Lu has a faint smile, I have jokes. Same distance from feelings with a different delivery. What makes his arc matter is that he chose to break it. Nobody asked him to show up for Jinchun. He could have just let the tradition of the family continue. The Jiren could only continue their power if he didn't. Jiamu certainly didn't raise him to care. He just decided the role wasn't worth the cost anymore, and he moved. I've been a Limbus Company channel for about 8 months. Every time I've stepped outside that box, the numbers tell me to get back in my lane. which is its own kind of Jiren, a system that decided what the game is and what my role in it looks like. I would like to stop being held down by one game, and I would genuinely like the part of this audience that likes how I think to come with me, not away from Limbus Company, just further than it. Which in a sick, twisted way makes those of you who demand I stay with the tradition the Jiren. The enthusiasm for Canto 8 is still there. In fact, other than the high notes in Canto 7, 8 has become my favorite due to how alike Hung Lu I actually am. But that's another issue. Being like Hung Lu, being mirrored so well in a game that you can see the outcomes of, while wanting to break your own chains in a similar way kills the urge to want to continue the story. I'm starting to feel the death of that enthusiasm that I had at the beginning of our run. Hung Lu smiles at everything, takes it all in stride. He uses that smile the same way I use a joke. Not because things are fine, but because if you don't let them see it, maybe one day you'll stop feeling it. A leaf on the wind, watch how we float. And like him, I didn't choose this role willingly, but at some point, I did choose to stay. And now, like him, I want to make my own way, whatever that looks like.